All right, peace, peace, peace. Well, first and foremost, hopefully, the most on your house shall blessing your day. By His mercies, you are consumed. We're alive, and the most on your house shall body into a natural life, man. I don't want to get into this, man, because, like, you know what? I was just watching. I was just thinking about this, man. And honestly, man, I'm thinking about one now. I was just talking about this with my mother the other day, and honestly, no, because I got a lot of stuff I'm working on. It's not even me. I'm not even. I can't like me being pious or great, because no, it's not. I'm not even talking about me, because this is talking about us as a collective, man. But especially this, like, you know. Because a lot of times too, I mean, I don't really do, like, shout out to brother Chronicles Judah, because he said this years ago, and honestly, like, you know, the whole gender war talk, it's certain that as honestly as men, honestly, even as people, honestly, we should avoid circular talk that gets nowhere. Honestly, like, you know, sometimes even now, of course, let me say this too. As far as nationality or like race, like the race conversation, a lot of times too, race conversations, it's things to really bring up. But at the end of the day, like, you know, it's constant. I'll put that in, like the brother Chronicles you said, circular talk, or the gender war like conversations. That's circular talk. And I mean, of course, do we discuss these things? Yeah, when we're assessing and like, you know, assessing certain things, situations, and dynamics. Yeah, of course. But, you know, because some things are facts, and certain things are fiction, or not facts, or misconceptions, things of that nature when it comes to these things. But yeah, so that's what I would say that too. But honestly, because I was talking about this with my mom, and honestly too, man, this even now with this state, especially these, like, the men of, like, you know, my generation, or, like, you know, of my era, or like, you know, my generation, even these modern day you know, ones, man, like, you know, because a lot of times too, like, you know, even the younger men coming up, man. But, you know, because a lot of times too, like, you know, when we go on here, like, you know, it's a lot of times too, when we talk on here, I get, like, you know, because listen, like, that's why I always do, like, you know, the women's wickedness things of that nature, like, no, and that's why we always talk about, like, when we talk about the women's wickedness things, we always, like, discuss kind of how Jeremiah 6:2, like, to know how our people conduct themselves, like, you know, you have to know how women and children operate, because it's a spiritual mirror how we enter, how our dynamic is and has been, and, like, is with the Most High house shot throughout our history, man, honestly. So it's no really different, man. So, like, you know, because but yeah, man. But even though, like, a lot of times we talk about this, and, like, you know, especially me, I talk about, like, you know, how, like, you know, how what brothers need to look out for, and things of that nature. Like, you know, even like the brother Chronicles Judah said this years ago, man. Like, you know, quiet is kept too. A lot of these, especially good sisters, because there are some good sisters out here. They don't have a lot of options with, like, you know, a lot of these with the modern man, especially the Western man, honestly, because it's really sad to state our brothers, well, whether in the world, outside the world, just as a whole, are in, man. Like, and I'm not even excusing myself, so I'm so pious and great, man, but it just really is, man, because I was like, you know, because even I was watching with my homie, and I was talking about this with my mom, the whole pop the air balloon thing. It's kind of, it's a case study thing that I like, you know, when we watch it, like, you know, when we watch it, like, you know, because that's what my mom perfectly said. Because I don't really watch it. Like, I just started watching it like a few weeks ago, like a week or so ago, when my homie, we was playing, you know, the game, the PlayStation, college football, like, you know, and yeah, he just put it on. I was like, okay, cool, because I think it's stupid. I thought I always saw it stupid. I would see clips of it, then I watch the whole thing. It's like, it is stupid, but it's a good case study on things. So, but a lot of times too, even though the sisters on there, they full of nonsense. They got a bunch of nonsense and folly, and, like, you know, escapades, and, like, you know, going on with them. So a lot of the brothers, man, and a lot of, like, sisters too, as well, because a lot of sisters out here, like, you know, because you gotta think too, a lot of it's hypothetically too, because me personally, I know very few, like, you know, if hypothetically, if I were to have the daughter, or even my sister, like, you know, well, she's a little older and she's gonna do what she's gonna do, but would I give this, like, you know, well, even though in the law they would give their daughter off to you know, to the husband, but, like, you know, even hypothetically, or this, like, I say my sister could, because would I approve, or not just my sister, or any, I'm pretty sure if y'all brothers out there, like, you know, if y'all, any women in your family, would you approve them being with, like, you know, certain these, like, most of these modern men out here? And majority of it is really sad. I know one, like, you know, off the top of my head, that's the younger brother, man. Like, you know, it's not in the word, but, you know, he's Like, well, I believe he's Jehovah's Witness, but he's not in the word per se in the knowledge. But how he carries himself, he's better than me at like at that age, like I was 17, 18 and stuff like that. He's way better, farther than me, honestly. So yeah, and that's what we should do as the next generation of men. Or just the next generation want the next generation to be better than us, honestly. So that's why how should I said what greater things you would do than I, man, because like even though it's like he's a standard, but he's just like he was empowering the next group of men to be better, next generation to be better. But yeah, man. So, but even let me say this too with a caveat, because even though sometimes a close woman, not even your family or a woman that you know personally, stuff like that, yeah, they're sometimes a woman that you need to stay away from, even though you love them, you're related to them, or you got love for them. But that's let me put that caveat too, because let me not say like to exclude like okay, would I give my like what I approve gets hypothetically if you had a daughter, or would you approve your sister or being with this person? We know how your daughter, sister, your aunt, niece, or what you gonna miss. So let me put that caveat there. But even that side, even if you have a good one, whether in the word or out the word, would you? Like, because a lot of times too, it's like a lot of like goofiness, man. It is, man, especially these modern. Like this, because it is too. But here's the thing: have like how I said, having compassion without me. Because the thing is too about this too. Because what too. Like, that's a vague statement. What I'm kind of going to. That's vague, a little vague. What I'm saying, because honestly, with that, because I remember even since I was talking to last year, right? And a lot of people say this, like men and women say this, right? They say, "Oh, these modern like men aren't men, and these modern women aren't women." They both men and women say that about about each other. But we have to realize is that we forget that a man has to be trained up to be a man. A woman has to be trained up to be a wife, or a man has to be trained up to be a husband, or a man has to be trained up to be a wife. A man has to be trained up from his parents, from his father to be a good to be a man. And a woman has to same for her mother also too. She should see that emulated by her father, what a man that she should be with, and the vice versa with the same with mother and son. So that's the dynamics of it as well too. So yeah, because you can't just say okay because she had said this. She said that once, men aren't men anymore. I was like, well, okay. I had to let her know that. Listen, but they aren't being trained up to be that. So it's like that's kind of a vague. Even I kind of started that. I had to correct myself on that, honestly, because that's kind of vague to say. That's like a open end. That's like kind of like a statement that needs more detail in it. Can't just make that statement and say yeah, okay. But honestly too, here's the thing about that too, with brothers as well. I'm gonna say this too. You never, of course, y'all heard this before. Y'all have older men or brothers around y'all, men, whether in the word, out the word, or y'all heard this men. You never listen to what a woman says. What it takes a real man, because you know what they're gonna do. They're gonna say something that benefits them. So, and there's no sight to them, and they get it. That's their nature. But you just don't. That's not the thing. You listen to the Most High, and how you listen to the Most High, and house our Heavenly Father and the Son. The what it takes to be man, and and the righteous man in His word. Even men actual elders, whether in your family or not, or past teacher, coach, whatever around the way, loosen them, especially if they live by it, what they say, and they stand on certain honor, codes and integrity, morals. Yeah, you listen to them, humility, all that stuff. So let me say that too, man. So, but yeah, man, that's just is what it is, though, man. Because I was reading Genesis 29 earlier today, and that's just is what it is. And this is even the law. We know what. We're gonna grab Ecclesiasticus first, man. We're gonna see this in the law too, because I didn't mean to make this same thing too long, but yeah, man. Then we're gonna get into this. Ecclesiasticus chapter 7, verse. Because it's too a lot of it's crazy because how we a lot of times we're in that role now. It's just because it's crazy. It's dang, man. Especially when I was younger, I could have been one of those. But but then never. I can't say that because when I was younger, I used to get rejected a lot. So I didn't really have that problem. I kind of did my own thing. But it's crazy now because. Honestly, I think about Back to the Future. Remember that Back to the Future scene? I might make this thumbnail when he said when he's at dinner and Marty McFly went back in time and the father, his mother's his grandfather looked at him and said, he's an idiot. Like, and that's how it kind of is. It's weird being in that role now, man, because like now, like especially with the younger sisters, honestly, like even at the high school, some of the younger like women there, like the students there, the sisters there, like younger women there, they would come up to me and things of that nature. Even though I never entered, even in school, my students always had a rule. Listen, don't come to me with my girlfriend stuff, that boyfriend stuff, my man. Just don't come to me with that. But sometimes even like I would say. Because, okay, listen, they growing of age, getting them hormones. Not that I approve of this and things in nature, them doing that whole dating thing and not, no, but I would just say to them, like, it's crazy that you're kind of in that role now. Y'all, some of your brothers can relate. Like, you just watch how most of these, like, most of the younger men move out, and you tell them, like, listen, stay away from him. Like, or I would say to them a lot of times, listen, I told Sue one time, I would say, listen, sweetie, like, honestly, I'm being honest with you. I'm keeping 100 with you. I don't see what y'all, when most of these like little niggas here see, like, be honest with you, that's what I said, like, I don't know what y'all see in them, to be honest with you. I really don't, like, so that's is what it is. That she said, yeah, a lot of our other teachers, they tell us that. I was like, yeah, they're right. I don't see what y'all see in them, so it is what it is. I remember soon last year at the other school I was at, she came up and she told me, like, those little boy, the little young Jake, she liked and he was just, oh my gosh, but it was just more like how he moved. It wasn't like the fact that it was just how he moved was just bad. I was like, stay away from him, all right? I ain't gonna get too much, but stay away from him, because I really don't, because they knew I don't talk about this stuff. I was like, stay away from him. Then time went on. Then she said, oh my gosh, I should have listened. And I was like, yeah, okay, I ain't gonna come down. Like, yeah, I was right, but listen, like, you see certain things, like, that's what it is too. Like, certain kind of things, like and y'all brothers probably did that as well, man, because, like, just like, both genders do that, like, because, certain things that, like, a woman can see, like, a woman that in your, like, a loved one, like, of yours, like, could be your mother, aunt, the grandmother, like, somebody you grew up with, or, like, it's kind of like that, and they'll see if a woman that you're around, they'd be like, yo, stay away from her, because I know women, things of that nature, so stay away from her. And likewise with men, honestly, like, that's, and honestly too, that's why I would suggest, honestly, that like that with the whole thing, man, because it's like, you need to know that, like, okay, like, how, like, does this person interact with, like, like, too, even when we watch those episodes of those things, or even too, like, that's why I shout out to brother send me first one, man, because that whole dating thing is social engineering, man, because that's not how you really get to know somebody. You have to go through life to get to know somebody. You don't really get to know them from leisure activities, and he was right on that when he said that. If you really think about it, there's nothing wrong. I mean, listen, if people do that, listen, that's their business, because how about, like, oh, I ain't really doing bad, but it's like, but if you do that, that's cool. But that's really not how you get to know somebody for leisure activities, man. And that's how, like, that's not true actual leadership, especially from a man. That wouldn't say if you could plan a leisure activity. No, there's like, there's a bunch of there could be a foolish man that owns a strip club and things of that nature. Not that he might know the business run out and how to run a business, but how he moves and interact. He's kind of goofy, but he just owns a strip club. That's like, or so he'll have like or owns a nightclub and stuff like that. So he knows how to plan leisure activities. Doesn't mean like he's a he might be a good businessman, but how he carries himself, like he's just like, all right, this guy's a nut. But but then you have a man that's like does those things, like but I'm not approving the strip clubs, I'm saying, but you have a certain man, he is very, like, one, he's a good man, like he's a man of honor, integrity, of like a good man, upstanding man, like and also too, you can do that, but certain times but my point is being that just because like that does not mean detailed leadership. If you can plan a leisure activity, that's just not it. So that's just yeah. But anyway, man, like I was saying though, man, that's just that's just what it is though, man. Let's grab this too, because before I get into this, Ecclesiasticus, also known as Sirach chapter 7, verse 25, man, because it says, "Marry thy daughter, so shalt thou perform a weighty matter." See, the weighty matters of a weighty matter, but give her to a man that understands. So see, he says, give her to a man that understanding, because this all going to tie into the Most High in your house, It says also too in the law with Jacob. It says, "Marry thy daughter to, and so thou shalt have performed a weighty matter, and give her to a man of understanding." So it says, give her to a man of understanding. Yeah, exactly, man. So let's get this Genesis 29 verse 19 real quick. It says, and Laban said, it is better that I give her to thee than I should give her to another man. Abide with me. So see, gave her, he did. So LeBron gave both of his daughters, even though of course he wanted Rachel, but he gave both of his daughters to what? A man of understanding. Like, just okay, like, I shout out to brother Akai War, man. You gotta read it through the Most High Yahushua's perspective. Just like the Heavenly Father in this aspect, like, he gave both of his, like, his daughters, like, because Jeremiah 6:2, Israel to a woman, to a man of understanding. Both tribes, both, kingdoms, to Yahweh Shai. So see, that's because the Most High, see, that's all part of being in his image. Because like the Most High Yahweh did it. Because isn't Isaiah 9:6 we about to get into later, and like Matthew, no, we can get to that right now. Matthew 12 and verse 42. Then the Most High give us to a man. Understand? Aren't we the bride? Supposed to be the bride of Yahweh Shai, man. Isn't he the most man? Understand? Let's get this Isaiah 9:6. So see, man, that's just is what it is, though, man. Isaiah 9:6. It says, for a child unto us is born, unto a son is given. The government shall be upon his shoulder, and his name shall be called Wonderful Counselor, the Mighty Yahweh, the Mighty God, the Everlasting Father, the Prince of Peace. So see, the Counselor, man, he's like, and he has, like, the one, his counsel, the whole book is like, of him, man. So, the gospel witness, the testimony, man, like, that's the, like, the counsel that he gave us, man, like, that's why Isaiah 30 says, what's them that don't take counsel, but not of me, man, of this doctrine, of my word. So, but yeah, so Matthew chapter 12 and verse 42, that's why he's the wisest man ever, man, that he gave the Most High gave us to man to understand. It says, the queen of the south shall rise up against in judgment against his generation, and shall condemn it, for she came from the uttermost parts of the earth to hear the wisdom of Solomon. Behold, a greater than Solomon is here. So Solomon, like, was the wisest man ever walked the earth until Yahweh Shai. So see, like, that's is what it is. So like, and Jacob, like, Israel, man, like, he was a prince of the power, man. He had power with the Most High and Yahweh Shai. Of course, that verse talking about Yahweh Shai too, but yeah, man, Jacob was like son of the Most High. He was a son of God. So shoot, man. Laban gave like his daughters to a man of understanding. So like, don't give it like, just like Proverbs, it's too, like, here's the thing about it, because a lot of times, like, certain like sometimes I know as women can get upset like with certain scriptures, right? Like, there's no wickedness of woman, which he talked about. Let the women learn to silence this and that. But the scriptures talk about, like, men too. When men are supposed to shut up and be quiet, like, the scriptures it talks about everything, man. Also too, just like how honestly too, it goes into both ways. Like, it tells, like, the men not to worry about the looks of a woman. And also it tells the woman to not worry about the looks of a man. It's about the inward man, honestly. It's about the inward person. It's about the character, morality. One, the faith in the Most High Yahweh, and two, just the character. That's what it's really about, honestly. So I mean, again, naturally, yeah, like, because are people visual? Do they have preferences? Yeah, but that can be according to your own lust and your own desires, and don't get twisted, man. Even Sirach goes into that, man. Like, because even there's a verse in Sirach that calls, like, well, he's really talking about, like, a man and his wife, or like, man, he's talking about his wife, or talking about, like, but it calls, like, a woman thick, honestly. He said, and I forgot what the verse is that, but yeah, it calls it that. So yeah, that goes into the fact that's at James 5 and 17. Listen, these are the same people with light passions, like, just as like, you and me, man, honestly. You don't think when David, like, on a natural tip, well, one, Jacob, like, speaking of Jacob, he kissed Rachel because how beautiful she was. And also, too, you don't think, like, when David saw Abigail, like, he saw how beautiful she was, but really it was who she was. It was her inwardly in her faith in the Most High Yahweh, honestly, and her obedience and her reverence. That's what really mattered. But of course, they even said with McCall. They even said McCall when she got with her other husband, like, when she had to go back to David, the other husband that she got with, the new man she didn't want to, like, he didn't want to let her go. So that's how gorgeous she was. So that's is what it is. We know what the book says about Judah, Susanna, Naomi, So yeah, man. So Sarah. So yeah, but that really wasn't the thing with them. Honestly, it's really their fear and reverence and obedience to Most High Yahushua in their faith. So yeah, man, that's just what it is with that. So yeah, man, that's just is what it is with that. So yeah, let's get to Genesis chapter 29, verse 19. It says, and Laban said, it is better that I give her to thee than I should give her to any other man. So abide with me. So yeah, exactly, man. So and also too, let's grab this First Kings, man, because this is really how you when we're gonna get to how we be how do we be manhood. What's really like manhood. Things I'm even working on. A lot of things I got working on. But let's grab this. First Kings chapter 2 verse 2. I go on this David talking to Solomon when he's about to die. I go into all way of the earth. Be strong, yet be faithful. Trust in the Lord's everlasting strength. Be strong, therefore, and show thyself a man, and keep the charge of the Lord thy God, and to walk in his ways, to keep his statutes, his commandments, his judgments, his testimonies, as it is written in the law of Moses, that thou mayest prosper in all what thou doest, and whitherso thou turnest thyself. So see, exactly. In the Ecclesiasticus 12:13, that's the whole duty of man, is to keep his commandments. When we have faith in the Most High Yahushua, obedience to his instruction, man. Live according to his promise. That's all it is. What it is, man. Honestly, even too, like the shout out to the brother sent me firstborn, man, because honestly, and it's went a little longer than I planned to, but it is what it is. Like even before the word, honestly, because it's a thing, right? That's in I this was taught to me. Honestly, we use this. I'm pretty sure your brothers and sisters use this. This was taught to me from other people. Like I heard this a lot of times too. Like transferable skills. Because a lot of times too, when you have worked in this one field and you trying to look for another, you could learn some of the skills you learned in that one field and make it to another. Or sometimes things in your life, like, transferring what you do in your other, like your personality can transform into your work, and your work transform into your life. It all goes into that. So even before, like, shout out to brother Sammy firstborn for saying this, because before you even get in a word, there's certain principles as a man that you should have, and that's really going to transfer into a word. So it's going to make it like a lot easier to you, because you'll realize, okay, your principles, you hold yourself to, that you that learn from your peoples, whether your loved ones or your peoples growing up, no matter who it was, because not everybody has their family things in nature. It aligns with the Most High house shot, but then more, I realized, especially for me, I'm pretty sure for y'all brothers and sisters as well, there's a lot of other things that I had we had to unlearn as well. It's like, okay, cool. That doesn't line up with the Most High Yahushua's ways and things in nature. So that's just is what it is, though, man. But yeah, what you doing, Spirit? But yeah, man, that's just yeah, man, because also too, even as that's why Paul even speaks as a man. Even sometimes that's why we always talk about us even outside the word, man, because it's certain things we should that's your principles and things you should do, even whether you believe in the word or not, though, man. But more importantly, believe in the word. But even those that don't, man, that's just is what it is, man. So let's go to this Ecclesiastes 13 and close out. But yeah, man. Then again, but see, that goes into we weren't taught. That's why the Most High House wants us to renew the mind and and become that little child and humble ourselves and be born again, man. Because a lot of stuff we learned before we came in the world, we had to unlearn, man. Especially for things towards manhood and women, even for sisters as well, man. So that's where the renewing of the mind comes in, man. And even that's why we shared that post on here, the Tupac quote or the picture. I'm not sure if it's Tupac quote, but it's a picture with Pac, saying, listen, if you could change your mind, if you could have power, if you could change your, or if you have power over your mind, you have power over your life. Pretty much paraphrasing, man. So that's just is what it is, man. Look at this in Ecclesiastes, though. Ecclesiastes 12 and 13. It says, let us hear the conclusion of the whole matter. Fear Yahweh and keep his commandments, for this is the whole duty of man. So yeah, exactly, man. So yeah, man, honestly, man, this certain things as men, we should we gotta do, man. We gotta get better, especially for the next generation coming up, man. Even now, man, because it is. I remember watching an old clip with DMC. It was 2007, right? It was in mid 2007. DMC from Run DMC. He was talking about like rap, right? He said, no, man. He said, listen, I want the next generation of rap. I want y'all to do better, outdo us, man. Like, that's just what it is, man. Like, you want them to be better. That's why your house, I said, what? Great what you do. You always, as men, we should always empower the next generation, man, to be better, man. Even like, because he said, yeah, man, be better than us. He's, no, I want y'all to outdo us, be better than us. Even remember when the Cam Newton thing, it was a 2017, 2018. 2017, I think it was 2018. It was a comment he made, like, a female reporter asked her, like, about the routes. Like, I think about the receiver at the time, Devon Funches, with her. I think that was his name. But she asked him about the route. And Cam, if y'all can look up the story, but Cam Newton said he had made, because he lost his endorsements and things of that nature, then he made an apology video, and he said, listen, to the youth and things of that nature, I don't want y'all to be me. I want y'all to be better than me, man. So that's just what it is, man. And that's a fact, man. So yeah, man. Hopefully this is edifying, man. So yeah, man. So peace.